coming up on That's a Great Point.
I needed us back then. Where was this all the years ago? This really would have.
I wouldn't have been helpful all those years ago.
Probably not. I probably wouldn't have been ready to hear what we had to say.
Yeah, that version of me maybe would have been resistant, right? Would have needed to go through the suffering. I don't know. I really think it would have hearing it and the value of hearing. And this is what I love about our conversations is we have one topic that we talk about, but we have three very different ways of talking about them.
How bad do things need to become before you finally make that change? Today, on episode 24 of That's a Great Point, Alina, Michelle, and I talk about some of our biggest breakthroughs. We share some of the darkest moments in our lives and how we've managed to learn to have a better life, not in spite of, but because of some of those times when it felt like the world was trying to break us. As always, if you find our content helpful, please share it with somebody you love. Thanks for playing along. Enjoy. Welcome to That's a Great Point, the attitude adjustment for your soul, where co-hosts Alina Doran, Michelle Albers, and Lee Smart discuss deep topics around a life well lived. Let's start the show.
Should we talk about breakthroughs?
We can do that.
Lady, gentlemen. Well, okay. If we're going to talk about breakthroughs, we might as well define the term to get all consistent and stuff. Okay, so I don't go all at once. I'll go first.
Been waiting on you.
Like, hold on. Don't get all excited talking at the same time. When I think about breakthroughs, I think of a sudden revelation, like it be the learnings, accelerated learnings, that it becomes clear. Something becomes clear in greater volume than your normal learning pace all of a sudden. And often it's called a breakthrough because something has been locked up that has now opened up. Whether we are fully aware of it before the breakthrough happens or not. Oftentimes we become aware of it on the other side once the breakthrough has happened, that we then connect the dots and understand how it was all related. I'm going to pause. Do you have thoughts on how you define breakthroughs?
How do you define it, Lee?
Oh. Whenever I think of it with my clients, it's kind of like an aha moment. But there's also other levels of it. There's different shades of it. I'm also thinking of a gym analogy and how we go to the gym, we can work, we can get all these improvements. All of a sudden, we'll hit a plateau. And we go to the gym, we keep working, and we stay at this plateau. We stay at the same level. Mm. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you go in and boom, you get a breakthrough. You bust through that plateau. But all that work was necessary, working through the plateau, to get to that one day. All of a sudden, something pops and you're performing better. Many times we hit that plateau because now all of a sudden we're making the changes that we made originally, and we hit that plateau. All the plateau is now the changes are becoming the new normal. And whenever that new normal finally sets in and becomes locked in, now we have the opportunity to start growing again. So I love the gym analogy for this, in that many people are always looking for that breakthrough, always, and they won't move forward unless they get that breakthrough. And that's stopping them from having the breakthrough in the first place. Sometimes you just have to sludge through the fucking mud and get the work done before you can finally have whatever breakthrough that is. So I'm just thinking about a breakthrough is basically just leaping to a new level of development.
Mhm.
Or overcoming a limiting belief. We're taught things when we're young that may not be helpful anymore as we start to mature. And whenever we let those things go and start to and enact new beliefs, that could be a breakthrough. So there's a lot of levels, there's a lot of layers. This is a huge onion that we're talking about when we talk about breakthroughs.
Mm.
Huge.
I love the gym analogy, Lee. It's the idea of it. I think of the word percolating comes through when I hear you talk about it. It's like simmering, percolating, getting ready, cooking up. You may not see it, you may not feel it in the moment, but it's bubbling up. And sometimes having the faith that if you keep going, that this is an aligned path. You may not see where it's leading you, but you feel like something's going to happen that's in the direction that you want. Sometimes we do things there's the other way. We have an intuition or the wisdom, the inner wisdom that what we're doing is going to get us into a breakdown. So I also think about a breaking open for a breakthrough. A breakdown, a break open, and a breakdown.
How about you, Michelle?
Yeah.
I feel like I have kind of a really specific definition of it, but I love your gym analogy and I love what you said about aha moments. Are they a version of a breakthrough? Yes. And for me, aha moments are not actually breakthroughs. Here's where I go with it. I feel like you can be doing the work and have an aha moment and be like, oh, yeah, I never considered that. That's really cool. That doesn't feel like a breakthrough to me. A breakthrough to me feels like I've been stuck. Like you said, the plateau. I've been stuck. I've been stuck, and I've been looking, and I've been searching, and I've been seeking, and I just can't seem to find the nugget or the pieces that unlock whatever it is that I got trapped here. And here's the other thing. I think a breakthrough inevitably gives some sort of a physical, visceral response. Usually it's like, I think I'm going to throw up. Why is my heart racing? Holy fuck. And your life will literally change forever because it's once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that was the thing you were looking for. And it will take you to that life-changing place. Like aha moments do that too, but it's different. A breakthrough for me is like, you've been stuck in it. And this breakthrough of like, holy shit, this changes everything. I've never had one where I don't feel like I'm going to throw up and like my heart doesn't race. And I'm like, I don't really know what to do now, but I'm super excited about this and also terrified.
Mm.
You have
Beautiful.
a specific example?
The one I just have that I can't talk about is right at the forefront. So let me dig back. It's a more subtle breakthrough, but it definitely was one because I was struggling with control. I was struggling with me needing control. It was literally the only way I felt safe is if I thought I could control my external world. I was like, I have to control the people. I have to control the environment. I have to control as much as I possibly can because my internal world is turmoiled and I don't know how to control that. So I'm going to just take everything on the outside and control that as best I can, which was a ridiculously exhausting and painful life. And there was a moment, and I don't remember the specific thing that I surrendered to, but I let go of control of, I think it was someone. I think they were going to do something that made me ridiculously uncomfortable. And I thought there was a certain way it needed to be done. And I invited myself. I didn't force myself. I invited myself to surrender and just let it play out. I was like, I have the courage to do this right now. I'm just going to let it play out. It was probably my kids. Do you know what I mean? It was something that mattered to me a lot. And I let it play out and it went beautifully and it landed better than I could have possibly imagined. And I remember this sense of like relief. A weight had been taken off my shoulders and there was like, oh, wow, this is amazing. Immediately followed by, holy fuck, I have to own my life, take accountability for the way I've been living and literally actively change this particular piece because I don't want to live like that anymore, but I don't necessarily know how to fully step into this. And that's terrifying. And so that's a more subtle example because I don't remember feeling like I wanted to throw up, but I remember getting that Oh my God.
Mhm.
I have to be accountable for everything. I'm already tired. I already don't know if I have the energy to live as it is. And now I have to own everything and take accountability for all this shit that I've been making harder than it has to be. Ugh. I don't know what to do with that. But also, like, I 100% know what to do with that because I literally just did it. How fucking cool is that?
Mm.
And it did change everything. That was a life-changing moment for me because
Mhm.
my control shifted after that thing.
And that's I think one of the key components of a breakthrough is you can't go back. You can't unsee, unlearn. It's a change. It's a sustained change. It's not, very much to your point, an aha moment is a momentary realization. It's great in the moment. It may or may not lead to lasting, meaningful change. But a breakthrough, it's a new way of living, and there's something is released. Something is breaking through that has been trapped and locked up. And that's a key difference.
Do you have a specific example, Alina?
I do. How I came to do the work that I do today is exactly what very much what Michelle was just talking about. It was a very much a feeling of I can't unlearn and unknow this. I can't go back. It's like it's impossible. For me, the breakthrough involved suffering, a lot of suffering and pain. That percolating had to be painful for me. I had to break down to break open. That's what it took for me. There were, difficulties health wise, family wise, home wise, professionally, very, very difficult, toxic, like suck the life out of you boss, which is an anomaly in the bosses I've had, but sucked the life out of me, and like major health issues at the time. And it was all breaking down, and it was all testing me, and it was all hurting me. And as the pain increased, I retreated more and more into my shell, was more and more alone. And then it was like, it's like being in a hot, steamy shower and you keep the door closed so the steam stays in and the room is just real hot. And you percolate in that heat and that pressure. And I just started breaking down. My body started breaking down even more from the stress and the sadness and the grief and the fear and the sickness. And I just started to descend until I started like getting multiple injuries, seemingly unrelated. And it was as if the universe was like whispering to me all along, and I couldn't hear it loud enough. So then the voice had to get louder. So then more things had to go wrong and more things had to break in my life. And then one day, literally, my foot broke. I broke my foot next to my desk, working from home. And this was all in the first year of COVID lockdowns. And that was a sign for me that, like, okay, the universe is now getting louder in your ear. Like, can you hear me now? And so all of the learnings, all of the pain, all of the isolation I learned in that moment, it was literally in that moment. I remember the moment when I was watching my foot swell and become purple and the agony. I was like just leaking sweat from the pain because I was on a video call at work, a big conference call, getting ready for a big, big launch the next day. And I was like trying not to cry through the pain. And in that moment, I knew that that was it. I could not go back. And what did that mean? That mean that I will no longer neglect my body. I will no longer neglect my heart, what I need. I will give myself what I need. I will no longer leave myself last or off the list or be the very last on that list. So today, I still fall down on that. I go down on the list, but now I know that I've suffered so much that nope, you go back up, right back up there, young lady. You are not leaving yourself off the list. Let's go back up, back up. And the desperation and the sadness and the help that I had working with a coach was like the final nail of this is what I need to be doing for people. the tools that I acquired along the way to lift myself up and change my life. That was a long answer, but it's very personal. Like it hits deep, and I don't talk about it typically.
Yeah, there's some commonalities between that and what I went through personally. In that my body had to start breaking before I decided to finally change. So many, yeah, there was a lot of commonalities. So I was running my own mechanic shop, working 60 hours a week minimum. I would be in the shop for 5 a.m. I wouldn't leave until 6 p.m. I was propping myself up with almost a gram of caffeine a day, energy drinks, nicotine. And then I would be so wound up by the time the end of the day would come around, I would have a few drinks to help myself calm down. Rinse and repeat day after day. Got to where I didn't even know what it was like to see my home in the sunshine. And I was working really, really hard, and I had everything I needed, but I still didn't feel like I had enough. So I kept just pushing harder. I got this mentality, like the David Goggins kind of mentality of just keep pushing, just ignore it, ignore the pain. It's fine. It'll go away. Just keep ignoring it. And my health just continued to suffer and continued to suffer. But everything I had been reading up to that point is just keep working harder. You'll get there. So I did. And I was able to turn what I was feeling off and just keep rocking forward. And my cognition started to fall off. I got to where I was having near panic attacks. I was having massive chest pain, lost 40 pounds in 3 months of very unhealthy, in a very, very unhealthy way. The people around me were starting to worry about the way I was looking. I looked gaunt. I looked like I was just one step out of the grave. And then one day I was driving into work and I started having these chest pains in the worst way. 5 a.m. By the time my employees made it in for 7 a.m., I knew I needed to go to the doctor. So I did. My doctor was nice enough to see me within a couple of hours. As soon as he started testing me, he sent me to the hospital, wanted me to stay overnight. And I was in that hospital bed and I've got wires coming out of me. I've got tubes coming out of me. And my wife brought my 3 young kids in to come see me. And my son was about 6 at the time. And he stood at the foot of the bed. And when he saw all these wires and tubes coming out of me, he just broke down. He started crying because he was afraid to approach me. He was so worried for me in that moment. And that right there is what broke me. That's whenever I finally had that breakthrough. I couldn't help but wonder why had I been working so hard? Because the only people that were going to remember how hard I was working were the people in that hospital room with me. And for all the wrong reasons. And all I wanted to do in that moment was take those kids and go teach them how to ride bicycles and to go have adventures and to teach them everything that I had learned up until that point, and to just go hang out with them and then play board games. And I wasn't doing any of that up until that point. So that was the breakthrough for me, is like, yeah, work might be important, but there are things that are so much more important out there, and we can miss them. It's so easy to miss them. And I almost missed all of them. I almost ended up in the grave. And that was my breakthrough. It's like, money is great, but if we're missing the time with the people that we love, it don't mean shit.
Yeah, that's big. That's big. As I'm listening to you, I'm realizing like I don't even think about the chest pains I had in the middle of the night They didn't even phase me. Like, that didn't do it. It was the breaking of the foot. You had like visual reminders. You were literally hooked up to tubes in a hospital bed. It took your son's tears. It sounds like.
A piece of it. Yep. Big, huge piece of it. Tell you another breakthrough I had too. This was a little bit quicker to explain. I was lucky enough to make friends with an Army Ranger at one point, and it was in the desert of Arizona. And a huge piece of his healing work came through ayahuasca. And he had been training as a shaman. And this gentleman was kind enough to lead me on a journey through ayahuasca. And we had a full ritual there in his RV in the desert in Arizona. And it's funny that we talked about worry right before this. That was the breakthrough I had in that moment through that journey with the plant medicine was, why am I worrying so much all the time? I'm okay. In fact, I'm better than okay. I've got everything I need to be happy, but yet I'm still worrying all the time. It's like I came away from that experience with a deep sense of, it's actually okay. Things are going to be okay. And if I continue to worry, I'm going to miss everything that I'm seeing right in front of me.
Talking about this, I wonder, and I appreciate your less intense example. Like, do we always need, and I think the answer is no, do we always need suffering to get to big life-changing breakthroughs?
I do think the answer is yes. You don't need a breakthrough if you don't have suffering.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to do it without. Maybe there's an evolved way.
That was such a great point, Michelle.
It was. Life is suffering, right? That's the
Life is
Tuka
suffering.
concept that you talk about, Michelle. Tuka,
It
right?
is.
I learned that from you.
Yeah. I just had this conversation, and this person was saying, other work I've done, the person I've been working with implies that there's a way to make it go away. The pain, the suffering. And I'm sitting here with you and we're having this conversation and you're telling me it doesn't go away. I'll always remember it. It'll always be part of me, it's mine. But what you're also telling me is that it can have a purpose and it can be neutralized or diffused, and it can just be a tool in my toolbox to help me show up in the world with more wisdom or different wisdom. Or so what I'm hearing is shifting my perspective and managing my expectations of what I expect this to be and look like is required. Like they were describing a magic pill, and what I want is healing, but I was calling the magic pill healing. And it's like, yeah, I don't think healing means it goes away, but I think the pain does. Like it doesn't have that control over us anymore. It doesn't take us to the place where we can't, like for me, it was freeze. I froze. I would just freeze and not be able to speak or find my voice or find my gumption, my grit, it was gone until the breakthroughs, and there was a preemptive breakthrough before the breakthrough I described with regard to control. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like until I realized I didn't have to control the whole friggin' world, which is ridiculous. But I needed that to feel okay until I didn't. But that was a lot of work and a lot of healing and a lot of breakthroughs and a lot of aha moments and a lot of support and guidance. And yeah, life is pain. If you think there should not be suffering in life, I love you and good luck. I just think you're just hurting yourself even more. That's a painful life. That in and of itself is a life of suffering. Everything is temporary, the joy and the pain. So can we just be in the moment and navigate it in the best way we know how, from a place of compassion and love and for our best and highest good, which then ripples out? That's just how I've learned over time that is how I want to show up in every moment. It's impossible to show up that way in every moment, but damn if I'm not building that muscle.
I think we tend to equate suffering equals bad.
Yeah.
And it's not true at all. I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for the suffering that I've gone through. I wouldn't have the love that I have in my life if it wasn't for the suffering that I've gone through. I am able to experience highs like I have never experienced before, thanks to what I've gone through. Like I have the chills come over me whenever I play certain songs and music, that I can experience that now because I've allowed myself to feel the bad, not bad, the things that we equate to negative emotions, the despair, the fear, the anger. I've allowed myself to go there and really experience those things, the desperation, the sadness. And thanks to that, I managed to increase my range emotionally to where I'm able to have tears of joy. I'm able to have just goosebumps on just amazing music. I experience love like I've never experienced before in my life now, without chemical assistance. Like, used to, it required chemical assistance for me to get to those kinds of highs. And now I've managed to get to a place to where 100% sober, I get these moments of just sheer amazing joy and love and happiness that I didn't have that range before, because I wouldn't allow myself to really truly feel the deeper, darker moments.
It's beautiful. And when we resist suffering, we amplify it. And so letting it pass through us, allowing ourselves to feel the pain, feel the suffering, and it's like a weather system passing through our body. Let it pass through. Don't resist. Let it pass through. Feel it come, and feel it go. Don't grasp it. Don't hold on to it. But that is a way to reduce suffering, is to relax the body, relax yourself, and allow it to come and go. And you can't hold on to the joy either, because that's artificial. That's also going to come and go.
I actually don't think most people resist suffering. I think most people live there until you start doing the work. And then when you start doing the work, then you want the suffering to end. You want it to be finite. You're like, well, tell me what the steps I have to take to make this go away. And it's like, and then when we start doing the work, and like I've talked about this before, like when you're actually in the work of like that actual transformational moment, there is no ease of that suffering, because there's nothing known. And so it's just, there's like this place of like absolutely a new kind of suffering. And that gets tempting then to go back into the suffering that we know and that we live in and that we choose. And that sounds like a dick thing to say, but we do choose to just stay there because it's comfortable and known and easy. And it's like, I can predict what's going to happen in this room. And I'm comfortable there. I know how to navigate it. It's easy. Sucks, hurts, but it's fine. I'm fine. And then when we get into that transition state, it's like, whoa. I'm in uncharted territory. I don't know how to navigate this, and I'm terrified, and I would like to just go back to said suffering that is easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. May I put it in really vulgar terms?
Yeah.
If you sit in a pile of your own shit, over time, the shit warms up, and everything is warm, cozy, and it's taken the shape of you. And so you just sit in it because it's comfortable. When you stand up and you feel the wind on your butt cheeks, you start to feel uncomfortable. And you kind of are tempted to sit right back down in the pile of your old shit that you've been sitting in, because this is way less comfortable to start walking with it and then doing something about it. right? The distance between the pile of shit and maybe like the shower, it's going to be an uncomfortable walk to feel that shame, to realize what you've been sitting in all this time and it's cold and you're seen and yuck. So let's not look at it and let's sit back down in our own shit and change nothing.
I can't tell you how much I love that metaphor. It's such a great one. And then not only that, now all of a sudden people get to take a look at our back and see that there's shit all over it too.
Yeah.
Ooh. So
you're
that puts us in
seen.
that I need to be seen a certain way. So, this is not cool. I can't let people see that I have shit on my back.
Yeah, like let's walk backwards and sit right back down. Well, that's what Michelle is talking about. People living in, like, do people live in pain or resist? And I would say it's both. It's one and the same. When you deflect and distract yourself from the things that are uncomfortable, you are choosing to reside in the pain.
Yeah, and I think the thing is like, I'm not claiming that all of us are supposed to get out of all of our pain. I don't mean that. But I think there's a certain kind of pain that decreases our quality of life. And if you're in the kind of pain that decreases your quality of life and you're bitching about it, you can seek help and find a way to heal. Right? It's like, I understand that, like, pain-free life is unrealistic and that's not a thing. And some of my pain I just choose to live with and it's okay until it's not okay anymore. But when it becomes to that place where it's not okay anymore and it's decreasing your quality of life, what are you going to do about it? You have to do something different. And that's where the breakthrough comes in too, because I think a breakthrough is a choice. Like, you have to be an active participant in order to have a breakthrough. It doesn't just smack you in the face. If it smacks you in the face, to me, that's a spiritual 2x4, and that's divine going, you haven't been listening. I'm going to make this super fucking obvious. But that's not a breakthrough. That's like, hello, wake up. What are you doing? And then you can maybe find the breakthrough if you listen to that. Same thing with an aha. It's just different. It's more of like oh, wow, that's really cool. Now what? Breakthrough is a whole different, like, vulnerable, like, physical, visceral, literally life-changing. Like you said, Alina, you cannot undo this. You can't go back. And I think there's a point in every client I've ever had that comes to a point in our sessions where they're like, oh my God, you didn't tell me I wouldn't be able to, like, stop this. I was like, I mean, you can stop it. You can choose to just hold right here and we'll navigate it there. And also, I don't like, just check yourself. Is that really what you want? We have ways we can pause and regroup and recharge before we then go into that life-changing, holy shit stuff.
Yeah, I've talked to many, many, many people that were so deeply afraid of looking at their own traumas, their own shit, that they didn't want to do the work. Absolutely did not want to do the work because I can't go there. I don't know if I can deal with going back there. But yet that allows it to just sit there, and it kind of hangs on in the background all the time, and that it controls the way we operate in the world because it's just sitting back there. And it's so powerful to go into this and deal with it once and for all. And I want to be clear that trauma isn't what happened to us. It's how our body responds to it. Whatever happened, like just being told that your voice is ugly and you sing terribly can be a trauma, right? Because that can absolutely shut that voice off for the rest of your life. Because now you go through life believing that you have an ugly voice. And really, truthfully, all it was whoever told you that was having a bad day and they couldn't be with whatever it was that you were putting out. It was about them. It wasn't about you. But that still shuts off that voice. I'm reminded of Phil Stutz's work. I think it was the very first tool in his book, The Tools. What we're looking for is on the other side of a cloud of discomfort. And we'll never get to it unless we willingly go into that cloud of discomfort. Look, y'all stay quiet for a long time. I must done good thing again.
I love everything you said, and then on top of that, I love Stutz. Is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I was just thinking. Oh, go
yeah.
ahead.
I'm gonna have to link the link to that book in the show description, huh? Tanya told me I needed to do that because every once in a while we'll reference books, and she says you have to start putting the links to those in the show description.
It's a good idea. That's a great point, Tanya. If you can hear me. Yeah, and the Netflix documentary, I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
I love where he says, "Close your eyes and shut the fuck up and just do what I say." Close your eyes, shut the fuck up. Like, I love this guy. I love him, and I want him to be my therapist. It's like, tell me to shut the fuck up and close my eyes, and like safety in that. Love it. Ah,
All right, I need to take a quick break.
Feeling better, Mai?
Oh, I almost had me a butt TT again.
No, that's no fun.
AKA diarrhea.
oh, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, friend.
And that's how my day's going today.
Is it a don't trust a fart kind of day?
Yeah. my elliptical almost got really, really nasty earlier. It was
Listen, you wear protective gear next time. Like a wee pad. Yeah, you can't gamble today because it'll be all losses.
I'm wondering if we've gone too far this time.
I think so.
Because bodily functions are funny.
Oh.
Ah,
Y'all ready to go into the 3 for breakthroughs?
yeah.
Sure.
Gonna think about it and talk about it right here. All right. So we think about breakthroughs. I think about something that's been pent up and building up and percolating and increasing in size. And it's this mass that's held in by something like doors, a fence, pick your favorite visual. And then after enough buildup, the doors break open and it's out. And now you can't unsee and you can't undo, you can't unlearn. It's happened and it changes your life. That's what I think about when I think about a breakthrough. And so, one thing about breakthrough, the invitation here is to notice the buildup, notice what's percolating. That's all. Pay attention to it. Is there a pattern? Is it always the same thing? Is there a theme? Note it. Sit with it. You may not need to take action yet or at all. Knowledge is power. Another is resistance. What do you resist in your life? What do you push away? What do you try not to look at? When you're alone and really look at it, can you look at it? When you're resisting and choosing to stay where you are, even though that little voice, that little hunch is telling you that you shouldn't, you are growing your pain. So resistance is futile. And a third that I found really helpful is be porous. Allow it to go through you. Allow the waves of emotion inform you and move through you like a weather system, moving through, passing through clouds, storms, hurricanes, drizzles. It's passing through. Notice it, feel it. There's so much to say about breakthroughs. Another thing that I will add is breaking down can be necessary for a breakthrough. Breaking open can be necessary for a breakthrough. Pain is included. That percolating, that's the pain building up. So keep going.
Breakthrough. It's funny, there's a thing I talk about in my courses, come to peace with the pieces, because I think we feel broken when we feel like we have pieces that aren't healed or that haven't had a breakthrough or whatever. And it's like the pieces are all there. Some just need some attention. It doesn't mean you're broken. And even if they're separate from yourself, you know what I mean? Even if they're not integrated. So I just think it's interesting how the stories we tell ourselves, which leads me to my first point, which is we tell ourselves we want these breakthroughs. We tell ourselves we want to change. We say it, but I don't think very often we actually believe it or feel it in our being. So know that like your life is going to change and it's going to be hard. So you can tell yourself you want it and wish for it. And then when you actually get down into it, you're like, fuck, man, I didn't really want this. What the hell am I doing? What was I thinking? So just chew on that for a little bit. Like, am I ready? Do I have the capacity? What do I need to invite a breakthrough? Which leads me to my second point, which is a breakthrough requires a surrender. It requires a pause. If you're running in the same habit loops of your thought, if you're running in your same routines and you don't even take a moment to consider why you might be in this plateau, to consider why you might be stuck in this place, and just take even an inhale so that the exhale can happen, there's no room for a breakthrough because you're so busy in that state that the breakthrough, like you don't even have a space to receive. A breakthrough requires a receive, and many of us have a really hard time receiving. So that's that piece. My third point on breakthrough, I'm picturing myself in a well. I think I've talked about this before, like a deep, dark well. It's, 6 layers of brick deep, and I'm just sitting in there alone, and I don't really know what to do. And I keep telling myself I don't really know what to do. What I've learned over time is that there is a part of me that always knows what to do or who to lean into or where to go from here. And I might not have the exact map, but I always can figure out a step that will take me somewhere different than where I am right now. And it doesn't matter which direction you're standing. If you take a step, you're going somewhere different. So just consider that you do have a wise resource self within you that you can check in on. The other big piece for me is like whether it's your higher self or your divine source or whatever it is, ask for help, even if it's not from another human. Just start somewhere to know that like no one is alone in doing this work. We feel very alone sometimes, but we're not actually alone. And I think it's really important not to do this work alone. So if you're a person who has a hard time receiving or connecting, work on those skills. They're skills. They're hard. Doing the work is hard. Inviting breakthroughs and choosing them is hard. And on the other side of it, all that energy that you put into the breakthrough comes back to you tenfold or more. You have so much more energy and light on the other side of doing that work and getting out of that pain point and understanding that that pain point is now a resource for you instead of a lead weight. And it's an incredible thing, but it's really hard to put into words unless you're actively doing the work together. And then it's like, oh yeah, I get it now. I get it. Cool. But that just sounds so easy and flippant. And it is absolutely not that way. And I will not say it is. I will not say this is easy. It is not. It is hard. And it is absolutely worth it. And you know what? You're worth it. You fucking deserve it. And if you don't believe so, find the people who can help you navigate all the mess that created that feeling for yourself. I think that's it.
All right. My top 3 on breakthroughs. Number 1 is you absolutely do not need a breakthrough to move forward. Many of us personal development junkies, which I'm a recovering personal development junkie, we get stuck on needing and wanting these breakthroughs because many times it can be such an amazing experience. And we get to that place which we keep searching, keep watching all the YouTube videos, taking all the courses, doing the retreats, going to the conferences, looking for that one thing that's going to set us free. And really what we need to be doing is getting to work and doing the work and taking consistent action. And that consistent action gets us what we need. There's not always going to be one thing that's going to be the thing that's going to get us where we want to go. Consistent action creates more results than anything else will. Point number 2 is these breakthroughs are intoxicating because they can be the thing that's going to set us free. So I'm going to contradict myself a little bit here. Knowing that your thyroid isn't operating well because you have a selenium deficiency, and then you start taking a little bit of selenium and getting your thyroid back in order can make a night and day difference on how well you feel. You go all of a sudden from just feeling like crap, feeling tired all the time to having energy. That's phenomenal. That's a huge breakthrough. And knowing that you're deficient in that one little mineral can make that difference. Knowing that if you change one word in your marketing and all of a sudden you get 25% better results, that's huge. So that's why breakthroughs can be so intoxicating, why we can become addicted to seeking breakthroughs. Going back to point number 1. So it's just like this weird juxtaposition between the two. Consistent action leads to us finding out that that one word was the difference. So we have to test these things out through consistent action. And my final point, coaching exists because it can help us get to these moments with far less pain than we could have otherwise. I've seen some amazing things in coaching, and I've received some amazing things in coaching that I would have never gotten to on my own. Having another perspective or having somebody else that can guide us to having our own different perspective can really, really make a huge difference. For instance, I've mentioned it before on an episode, and one client who came to me, I need to know what the next steps are so I can start to move forward. And he thought he needed to be taking steps to improve his career. And when he stepped back and took a different perspective, he realized what he was really craving was more time with friends and family. So that was the breakthrough for him, just looking at it from a different lens. And he got there on his own, but it was because I was just asking him questions. What's missing? And I've had this happen to me in coaching conversations and as well. Like hiring a coach was huge because it made me realize that I wasn't leading a life that was within what I valued the most. And slight little pivots were all that it took to have a major breakthrough. Many times we think a breakthrough has to be something completely different. And really all it can take is just a slight little pivot sideways. And all of a sudden everything is completely different. I'm thinking about our conversation with JJ last week and how she just wanted to enjoy picking up her kids. And that little small thing made a huge difference. So having a coach and having that conversation, or having like a functional medicine doctor really, really helped me quite a bit with my own health, or a therapist or a counselor or a mentor. having somebody on your side, a great friend, can be the thing that really, really makes the biggest difference. And with that, I am complete.
I love that you brought up the fact that a breakthrough is not required. The other thing I love about it is like taking one step over and over and over again takes you perhaps beyond what a breakthrough can, because a breakthrough requires a stuck point. You know what I mean? I just think that was a cool way you said it.
This whole episode, if I had listened to this episode when I was in it and suffering so much, it would have helped me tremendously. It would have done so much for me. And that pain would have been, less severe. So I hope that this episode makes its way to someone who needed to hear it, and that it reduces their suffering and brightens their life.
Yeah, I was a little bit resistant to the topic at first. I just took a step back and thought about it for a little while. I was like, no, this could actually be a really good topic. And so thanks for bringing it in, Alina. And I really feel like this has been a phenomenal conversation through and through. So
I appreciate it very much. It was a great conversation.
I needed us back then. Where was this all the years ago? This really would have.
I wouldn't have been helpful all those years ago.
probably not. I probably wouldn't have been ready to hear what we had to say.
Yeah, that version of me maybe would have been resistant, right? Would have needed to go through the suffering. I don't know. I really think it would have, hearing it, and the value of hearing, and this is what I love about our conversations, is we have one topic that we talk about, but we have three very different ways of talking about them, different words, different experience, different context, and we connect on that topic. And for folks who are listening or watching, chances are it's going to make it, they're hearing it the way they need to hear it in order to receive it from one of us. And hopefully it's that little tiny shift that you were talking about, Lee. It doesn't need to be a major shift to change a whole trajectory. It's this tiny, like 2-3 degree shift that can change your life. I'm appreciating you guys.
And with that, farewell.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to That's a Great Point with Alina Doran, Michelle Albers, and Lee Smart. To find out more about how we can serve you, check out our links in the show description. Thanks for playing along.